It's been an eventful week in the diplomatic world, which is still trying to come to terms with the horrific attacks in Paris. A series of meetings between world leaders have been held, all focusing on the issue of terrorism. Add that to the row between Turkey and Russia over a downed warplane, and then you'll know that this edition of Diplomatic Channel promises to be interesting. Hello and welcome. I'm Temitope Fagbemi. We're starting the program with the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, which held in Malta over the weekend. Ahead of the meeting, British Prime Minister David Cameron pledged to set up a Commonwealth unit to tackle the scourge of extremism. He said the group of nations has a vital role to play in tackling terrorism, and he pledged £5 million to help fund the unit.
Queen Elizabeth II officially opened the discussions, saying the Commonwealth leaders will at this meeting be charged with demonstrating leadership on an agenda of global issues.
At this meeting, the Commonwealth will be charged with demonstrating leadership, often in practical ways, on an agenda of global issues and drawing on the distinctive contribution of our members. I wish you every success in this endeavour.
In his opening speech, Malta's Prime Minister, Joseph Muscat, says the fight against radicalization should be paramount for the Commonwealth countries in the next few years.
They are called education and employment. Terrorists are more scared of well-educated girls and boys who manage to get a good job than they will ever be of any army. This is the Commonwealth's natural territory. And this is where our organization is already giving its input and should increase it exponentially. By tackling this issue, we would also be touching on a series of other crucial issues.
Meanwhile, the French President, François Hollande, says it is the duty of mankind to reach an agreement on climate change, comparing environmental damage to the threat of terrorism.
Lors de ces prochains jours, de conclure un accord.
Man is the worst enemy of man. We can see it with terrorism, but we can say the same when it comes to climate. Human beings are destroying nature, damaging the environment. It is therefore for human beings to face up to their responsibilities for the future generations.
The Commonwealth is an association of 53 countries which came together following the decolonization of the British Empire. The Queen is the symbolic head of the grouping. Her husband, the Duke of Edinburgh, and her son, Prince Charles, also attended the meeting.
France has paid tribute to the 130 victims of the Paris attacks in an official commemoration ceremony on Friday, November the 27th at the Invalids Monument, the site of Napoleon Bonaparte's burial. Under a wintry sky, the names and ages of the victims were read out, with the ceremony beginning and finishing with the French national anthem. The solemn ceremony was attended by 2,000 people, including families of the dead, dignitaries and French politicians from today and the past, including former President Nicolas Sarkozy and former Prime Minister Alain Juppé. Many of the 350 people who were injured during the wave of attacks were seated at the front of the crowd, many on stretchers and in wheelchairs, and were surrounded by members of the French Red Cross who had helped treat them since the November 13 attacks. Meanwhile, in the United States, recent public opinion polls show that concerns about national security are on the rise in the wake of the terrorist attacks in Paris, and that has shifted the focus of the 2016 U.S. presidential campaign. In a report filed in for Channels TV by the VOA's national correspondent Jim Malone, presidential contenders from both parties are responding to the concerns.
For Republican frontrunner Donald Trump, the Paris attacks have reset the presidential campaign with a focus on protecting the homeland.
I've gone up. Everyone else has gone. I've gone way up because people view me as the one that I'm going to be the best protector. I'm going to fight like hell for your safety. I'm going to fight like hell for your safety.
Republican Marco Rubio argues for a stronger commitment to fight the Islamic State.
Either they win or we win. That is the seriousness of this threat. And the longer we take to wake up to its reality, the harder it's going to be to defeat it and stop it.
Democrat Hillary Clinton also says it's time for a tougher approach.
Our goal is not to deter or contain ISIS, but to defeat and destroy ISIS. And we should be honest about the fact that to be successful, airstrikes will have to be combined with ground forces actually taking back more territory from ISIS.
The new campaign focus on terrorism and national security could help the Republicans, says Stuart Rothenberg.
But traditionally, foreign policy, you know, the Republicans have been the party of muscular foreign policy, strength, defense. And so any time there's a question of U.S. vulnerability, it helps the Republicans.
Donald Trump continues to lead the Republican field and seems to be tapping into voter fears, says analyst John Fortier.
He doesn't have a national security background. He says some things that are outrageous. He still is playing into the worries broadly about immigration, but more specifically the worries about security and terrorism that flow from that.
This new focus on security may or may not last, says William Galston.
Whether that heightened concern will persist through the 2016 election is another matter, but it is certainly shaping and reshaping the political dialogue here and now, and seems very likely to have an impact on the presidential nominating process.
The fears about terrorism come at a critical time in the campaign as voters prepare to choose party nominees beginning February 1st in Iowa.
Still talking terrorism, the Belgian Prime Minister Charles Michel lowered the threat level for the capital city on Thursday, November the 26th, from 4 to 3. Brussels was under a maximum state of alert for almost a week. The reduction to level 3, serious, a possible and probable threat, from level 4, a very serious imminent threat, brings the capital in line with the rest of the country. Michel said soldiers will remain in Brussels and security will still be on alert with progressive and regular assessments of the threat level. Still to come on diplomatic channel, Turkey shoots down a Russian warplane which it says was invading its airspace, and Russia vows to punish Ankara for what it termed a stab in the back from Turkey. Please stay with us.